everyone, and thank you for joining me today as I set up my bullet journal for July. I've had these washi tapes for quite a while. I bought them, I think, from Amazon. I've had them like well over a year, and I wanted to utilize these this month. They're kind of magic, fairy tale, castle type themes. So we're going to be using those. This month we're doing a theme that I've been meaning to do for quite a while, and that theme is pop-ups. So first I thought we'd have a little look back through last month, June. So the calendar worked quite well, the trackers worked well as usual. I'm just showing you my Pain and Fatigue tracker at the top there, and then we get into the weeklies. I really enjoyed this month. I enjoyed the decoration. I thought the colours were really calming. So to start this new setup, I'm going to take a look at these washi tapes and decide which elements I want to use for our little pop-up figures. So this tree and dragon is quite nice. So I'm going to cut him out. And I will put him on some cut-out paper from my journal. I was hoping to use these pieces, but they weren't big enough. So I'll cut a page out of the back. And I'm also going to be doing waterfall tabs or Dutch doors this month. So I'm just checking to see how many weeks there are in the month. And then I can turn the correct amount of pages and then start plotting out my waterfall tabs. Here we go. So I'm using this little hack to get a nice straight line. You kind of put your finger against the edge of the journal and place your pencil where you want the line, and then run your hand up the journal with your finger in contact with the edge pages, and it will keep your lines fairly straight. It's a quick little hack, and I'm doing these lines, they're 2 dot grid spaces wide, maybe a little bit bigger actually, just to show a little bit more of that tape off, because the tape's quite a little bit wider than 2 dot grid spaces. And here, because I'm going to be cutting out the pages, I am making sure that I've got enough room to do my trackers, because I like to do a nice wide tracker, particularly for my pain, fatigue and sleep tracker. That's quite important for me. So we've got enough space. We're going to start cutting the pages of the journal out now, and you'll see as I'm cutting through each page how much space I've allowed between each of the layers for the washi tape to show. And this is the last page we're going to be cutting out, and then we get back to sticking those pieces of tape down onto cardstock. So this is really useful if you're cutting out like waterfall tabs or Dutch doors. If you keep your cut-offs, you can use them for other elements, for things like this sticking down. So my cut-offs weren't big enough for this piece, so I did end up cutting a piece out of the back of my journal, but that's fine, I've got space. So we're just cutting around this cute little dragon and his oak tree, I believe it is. And these tapes are really nice. Generally I don't shop at Amazon. I tend to only buy if I have a voucher. So these were bought with a voucher. And I'm just kind of working out how many pop-ups I want and what I want them to be. So I'm taking these elements, cutting them out, And then once I've got them all cut out, I'll be able to decide, place them around a little bit and just work out which ones are going to look best where. I've never actually done pop-ups before, so this was a bit of a learning experience for me. There's lots of videos on YouTube for pop-up cards, which is where I drew most of my inspiration. And once you understand the mechanisms that make the images pop up, then it makes a bit more sense and it's a little bit easier. If you're the sort of person that's good at maths and geometry, I'm not, but if you are, then you'll find this kind of stuff quite easy. It will make sense to you. I was just basically copying along from the video just for the mechanisms, so that I knew that they'd work. So here we go. This is the basis of our mechanisms. We've got these pieces of, again, they're just cut-offs from my journal from those waterfall tabs. And I think these pieces are 2 centimeters by 8, I think. But if you zoom in, you'll be able to see on the video. I've put the ruler there so you can see how much they are. And then we've got these triangular folds running. And I'm just showing you here how you can fold your paper. You can either line up your ruler and fold it alongside the ruler so that you know it's straight. Or another method is that you can use something to score the paper or card to make it easier to fold. I'm going to demonstrate that now with using the back of my scissors. So I use just the blunt edge of the scissors just to draw those lines in. And to be honest, both methods work equally well, and you're going to be folding them backwards and forwards a lot so that you get a really good clean mechanism and action from them. So those are the first 2 pieces, and then this is the element that the mechanism that the picture that's going to pop up is going to be stuck to. So this, I think, was just over 10 centimeters long, or exactly 10 centimeters long, and there are folds at 2 centimeter intervals. I think that's right, something like that, or 2.5 centimeters. You can have a look on the ruler. So again, we're going to fold those up and really, really make sure that they're well scored and well folded. And it's going to make this little cube, and that's what your picture is going to stick to. So that's the first one, and then this is a longer, taller cube. So I can't remember how long it was. You have to have a look on the ruler. But we're basically folding it so it's a rectangle, so it's not a square this time. It's going to have 2 longer edges and 2 shorter edges, and this means that the pop-up can be taller. And I'm just going to use my glue tape here just to very quickly glue it all together so I know where everything is going, and then I can place them and get the placement right, because the most important factor is that you get these elements placed correctly on the page so that the page will close and open uninterrupted. And you just saw me using my ruler to burnish the folds as well, just to make sure that they're really crisp. So we're gluing these cubes, this cube and rectangle together, and we're going to make sure that it's going to fold really well, pretty much in all directions once it's glued. But there's no point gluing it if it's wonky, because it won't fold flat. But you can generally, like, once you've got it glued, you can generally fold it both ways and then make sure that they line up, and again burnish those folds just so that they're really crisp. So this is our little mechanism that joins the two pages together. So that little corner section gets glued to one side of the page, usually near the fold, and then the other side gets glued to the rectangular or cube pop-up element, as you can see here. So when you're doing this for real, you don't want to use glue tape because it's not strong enough. You need to use pretty strong glue. And the extra twist with this is if you're using this for a bullet journal and it's not a cover page, then you need to make sure that all the pop-up's going to work with your setup as well. So I'm using this E8000 glue here, which is like a pretty strong glue. I've had it a while, so it's a little bit stiff in the tube. And I'm going to use that to make sure everything's really adhered and stuck fast. And you're going to see me constantly through this video sticking stuff down, checking that the pages will fold properly, and then readjusting, because, you know, until you really understand pop-ups and know where everything's going, and it's not your first time doing it, then you're going to need to just keep checking, and that's just the nature of it, but that's fine. So we know where that piece is going now, so we're going to glue that little triangular piece down. And this is where it's handy with having a dot grid journal, because all the lines are, you're either working like parallel or perpendicular, so inline or crossways. So the dots really help with keeping everything lined up. But basically, when you're working with these long pieces with the triangular folds, you want the point of the triangle to line up with the center of the page, and that's how you know it's going to fold properly. So we're going to do our tall one at the top, and I'm just working out where I want to put it, because the other thing you have to think about is that when the journal closes, or the card, if you're doing this on a card, you want to make sure that you can't see the elements when it's closed. They're meant to just be a surprise and pop up when it opens. So we've got the glue on that top bar, we're going to glue that down, and again just make sure everything's in alignment. I was able to actually clip that down, so it's going to help it stick a little bit firmer. And again, checking that it will fold up when the page is turned, finding the placement for the glue, and then I'm going to glue that top box down. And then once that glue is a little bit set, I'll glue the tab to the box. Just checking everything's stuck down nice and firmly. And again, checking that it will fold. So this setup took me much longer than I anticipated. I think I was a little bit naive about how long learning to do pop-ups would take. So I've had to run a lot of this footage quite fast. Sometimes it's at twice speed, sometimes it's at 2.5, and just to fit it all in. And even then, there was no way I was going to fit the entire setup in one video, so I'm having to split it up into parts. and this video will just have the calendar spread and cover page. So I'm playing around with my little elements, the dragons, and just working out where I want to put them on the page. And then I decided that I was going to go in and line the calendar. So for the calendar, I'm using a Crayola Colours of Kindness. They say it's a fine liner, but it is more just like a point tip. And I'm doing these 3 dot grid spaces wide, and I think it's 4 deep. I'm using the ruler, but I'm not drawing a full solid straight line. I'm just doing a very faint dashed line. Because this setup is going to be quite whimsical and magical, so I didn't really want any harsh lines in the spread. And obviously when you've got these strangely shaped chunks of paper glued into your journal, it's a little bit tricky getting just getting the ruler in and marking everything out. But there you go, you can see in that close up the dashed lines, the dashes I was drawing, and I am just very gently running the nib of the pen along the ruler and just lifting it up just ever so slightly every now and then, so that you get this dashed effect. And I think it turned out really good, and it suits the setup quite well. And this is a pale liner. It's in the colour Wisteria. I don't think I said the colour. So it's this kind of pinky purple, very pastel shade. And it is darker in real life. It's quite faint on the video, but you can see it. You can see it pretty well in real life. So I'm just finagling my way around the pop-up bits. And I decided I wanted another element with a slightly longer arm. So I've pre-made another little cube and another one of these long bars with the triangle folds at the end. And I'm going to stick that in. Because basically I was thinking, well, I've spent this long trying to sort out how these pop-ups work. I may as well really go full ham and make the most of, get as much on the page as I can in true Dawn style. So they look really strange when, like, before they have any pictures on or stickers, but once it's decorated you'll see how the mechanisms work. I'm just trimming this bar because I was aware that as the page was closing it was just catching a little bit on the bar. I think because, you know, this isn't a card I'm making, we're working on journal paper, and yes, it is thick, it's like 180 GSM, but it's not cardstock, so the paper still bends. So you do need to be aware about just making those little adjustments so that it works and it's not going to trash your journal. I was concerned about how I was going to end up like being able to write on all this when the pages were closed, whether it would be really bumpy, but it's been absolutely fine. I think because the pages are fairly thick, it's not as noticeable. So again, I decided to add another element, and this is just a really simple box pop-up mechanism, which again is just one of those little cubes. This time I made it about 2 centimeters high and 1 centimeter wide on each of those sides of the cube, because I wanted this little dragon to stand out from the page a little bit. And he doesn't need a mechanism. He doesn't need to be attached to the other side of the pages like the other pop-ups do, because he's just going to spring up just from the tension of the fold of the paper, that cube we've put on. And now was about the time that I realised that I needed to decorate the background, and I probably should have done that before I started sticking all these elements on. This is something that I guess just comes with experience because of not doing this before. I didn't realise. So I'm having to do a lot of fitting around the awkward shapes, trying to get a decent background on the base of the page. It's really strange to think of your journal in this kind of three-dimensional mindset, but it does become more three-dimensional with these pop-up elements. So I'm just measuring out where I can tuck in these stickers and this backing paper, which is it's a washi sticker, so it peels off the backing. And I think that kind of galaxy print one with the gold stars that I'm sticking down now was from Journal Say, from one of their sets, their washi sets. So we'll stick that down and trim it accordingly to go around that funny little box shape, and cut our little corners. And then we're gonna trim the edges. Again, I think I said in my last setup, I'm trying to trim a little bit inside of the edge whenever I put anything on the edge, because I want to try and maintain the gilding on the edges of my pages. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but the edges are pretty. I don't want to lose the rainbow gilding. So we've got this castle sticker, and I've cut a little slice off the side so that it can tuck in alongside this box element, and you'll see like part of the sticker is sticking to the page, and then you fold it and you stick the rest to the box element. And again, this helps with that three-dimensional effect. And then I decided I wanted to use one of these little holographic star sticker runners, again I think from Journal Say. So I just cut it down to size and stuck it on the tree and the dragon, so it looks like there are stars behind them. And then we go a bit mad with the glue, get everything glued on, glue our little cute dragon. Again, should have decorated behind it first, but never mind, we learn as we go along. And we glue the tree and the dragon down at the top, and check that it's in the right place, and it's not, so we move it a little bit to the side and check again, and just make sure it's going to fold unimpeded. That's the word, isn't it? And we're going to just trim a little bit off the plastic off the edge of these pet stickers. So I found when I was using these PET stickers, they worked quite well, because you can keep the backing on and then just either sandwich whatever you're sticking them to between the backing and the sticker, or you can just cut part of the backing off. So I'm using these crystal stickers just to fill in the gaps, a little bit of washi tape there because there was a little bit more of a gap to fill in, and trimming as I need to make everything fit. So yeah, if I'd have thought about it, decorated the background first, I guess the thing to do would be put like a solid background on and then start putting your stickers down to get the 3D elements. But as this was the first time I was doing this, I didn't know. So I've got some castles that I cut out from that pink washi tape, and I'm going to glue one to the back of this box and one to the front, so it's going to look like one is in front of the other when it pops up. And then stick another one of those crystal stickers down just to fill in any gaps. So like I say, I was learning as I went along with this, and I did make a few mistakes as I went along because I'm human. This is one of them. I thought this castle sticker would look really nice here. I mean, it's difficult to see because of the angle. And I stuck it on, and I wasn't thinking it, like I said earlier, about when it closes, you got to make sure nothing's sticking out the sides. So I do go back and change that in a little while. Here we go. This is we're getting close to the point where I realise, is it going to fold? Yeah, things are folding. But this is going to stick out the bottom of the journal, so I need to put something smaller there, or have a think about what I'm going to do with it. So I don't do anything straight away. I have a little think, fill in the background. This is a dual brush pen from part of a set from Journal Say, and the set is called Soft Brush Twin Marker, and it's by Shands. There's a brush tip and a little felt bullet tip at the end, and they come in sets of light colour sets, so all shades of blue, all shades of purple, pink, green and yellow. So I'm using that dark blue just to fill in any of the gaps, and I do this throughout the setup just to give a little dark blue background for when I'm putting clear stickers down, so it doesn't show through the back of the clear sticker. And I'm adding this crystal on this angle so that too will pop up, and just looking at what I've got left of my galaxy paper to cover the background behind the calendar on this right hand side. So I haven't got much of these papers left in the gold, so I have to be a little bit clever with how I'm cutting and using them. So I just mark out where the calendar is, and then I'm going to cut that out, and I'll use part of the washi paper for the top and part for the bottom of the calendar. So we're just marking out where that calendar is going to sit. And then we'll cut it out. So once this is cut out, I'll line it back up with the calendar, make sure everything's where I want it to be. And then I decide that I wanted to take a little bit off the ends here, and I'll use those at the bottom. So it's a little bit tricky when you've only got one A6 sheet left of a piece of ephemera and you've got an A5 page to cover or decorate. So you do end up having to be a little bit creative with how you're using your pieces to try and make everything fit. But I think I did okay. We got there in the end. So I'm just gluing down that crystal on the triangular section of the top mechanism, just to give another element of pop to the pop-up. And I kept the backing on that sticker and just put a little bit of glue on the back of the backing of the sticker so that it would glue to the tab. And I'm just cutting off the excess. We've just got a little square to fill in at the back, which I cut out of one of my remnants of the Galaxy paper. And I'm just seeing what I've got left and where I can place it. And then I go in and put some of those edges that we cut off from the top onto the bottom this time. Trim the corner. Do the other side. So we get a little bit of symmetry on the page with what's happening at the top and the bottom. And we're just adding another little piece again around that little cube mechanism for our funny little dragon. I'm just making everything stuck down where it's meant to be. And this little section will join those two at the very bottom. And the other little cut off from the top. I'm just having to slide it under that bar. I placed this piece of washi tape over this bar just to decorate it, and it has all magical elements. I wasn't 100% happy with it. I'm just trimming off the excess here. So I do go in and put more PET stickers over the top of it later. Like I said, I go a bit ham on this setup. It's particularly this cover page and calendar page. I totally got carried away, and it did end up taking, I think, 3 days in total. So it took a long time. So I'm just playing around with the stickers here just to see where they will sit best and where I want those other pop-up elements to be. And I addressed the mistake from earlier and decided to just put a flat crystal on the top of that box for that bottom pop-up, and that worked quite well. So I also want to use this PE tape from Journal Say again, and this is a holographic book, magical book theme tape. So I thought these would be quite good for where there are folds. I could fold the pages of the books on the sticker and make it look like they're popping out as they open. Books within books, if you like. So as it's a plastic PET sticker, I'm using that ruler to really burnish that fold in to make sure it sits nice and flat against that little triangle that we glued down and the existing page. And again, just playing around, lining things up, seeing where I want things to lie and where it will look best. Just placing those book stickers on the upright sections of those bars where they'll give a good effect. And again, folding the backing down over the back of the bars, applying a little bit of glue just to keep them stuck down. So the stickers don't slide around on their backing, which is probably less likely to happen in a tape than on actual cut stickers, but it's best just to be safe. I had a little gap here, so I'm using some of that purple washi tape from the washi tape set just to fill in the gap, and then I'll put some stickers over the top of it. Go. So I'd kind of got my head around it now. I'd kind of had an idea of how it was all going to work and what they needed to do to, what the stickers needed to do so that they wouldn't really interfere too much with each other as they're folding in, because obviously they're all folding in on each other as well as into the journal. So you've got to make sure that they're not going to catch on each other. So there's lots of things to check. I'm not a fastidious person, so it was a good challenge for me. And obviously I didn't want to stick this book sticker down on top of my calendar. I wanted to still be able to use my calendar, so I had to make sure that I was trimming the sticker backing and making sure that it wasn't going to stick on any parts of the spread that I was going to write on and use. I have since filled out this calendar, and yeah, having these pop-ups all around it does make it a little bit more challenging to use, but so much fun. And it's really nice when you open the page and everything all pops up. So again, we're just finagling with that sticker, making sure it's in the right place, making sure it's not going to interfere with the calendar, trimming off any excess bits that weren't working or that could go. And then we're going to glue that crystal onto the top of that pop-up on the right hand side. I just kept the backing on that sticker. And then we do a little check to make sure that everything's folding how it should be. There was a little area that was interrupting with another section, so I had to just trim that out. It's quite difficult to see what I'm doing in this vertical plane. And then we close it. Make sure everything closes. Yep, that's all good. A little bit bumpy on the back, but it's not too bad. And I'm just using that dark blue pen from that brush set just to add a little bit of fill-in where I'm placing these crystal stickers along the side, because I'd run out of the Galaxy washi stickers, so I thought, well, we'll use these just to fill in, and it will echo what's happening on the left hand side as well. So this pen ended up being a pretty good match for the for that washi sticker sheet. Quite handy. Just making sure everything's folding, trimming off the excess. And I'm putting a few more of those book stickers down. Just to fill in, because I thought it needed a little bit more decoration. Clearly. And then I had this little crystal that I'd cut out right from the very beginning when we cut those first dragons out, and I placed it on card. I wanted to use it, so I decided to make another one of these small rectangular little, they're almost like cylinders, but they're squared off tubes, I guess. And this one is small. I think it's like one dot grid each side by 2, just to make that little crystal pop at the back of the dragon, but it's lower than the dragon, so again you get that sense of dimension. So we're sticking these down, and these tweezers that have got like rectangular heads were really useful for maneuvering that. And then pop it where we want it. So we are very nearly done with the decorative elements of this setup. I'm just filling in a few gaps, any white parts with this blue pen. So the white that you can see now from the top view that you're looking at, is obviously the calendar spread, and those 2 white rectangles on the left side were just the top of the pop-up mechanisms. I could have coloured them in blue if I'd wanted to, but when it's viewed from the front you can't see those. So I'm just taking this Eddings gold gel pen and hand lettering in each letter for the days of the week above the calendar. Hopefully you can see that, it's not too blurry. And then I'm going to use these stamps to stamp the title, which is July. And I couldn't put my hand on my acrylic block, so here's a little hack for you. You can use the top of your stamp container, the lid, works perfectly fine for sticking not acrylic stamps, what are they called? Those clear stamps, vinyl it said, whatever. Sticking those stamps to the lid and using the lid as a acrylic block, because you can see through the plastic and you can line it up quite well. And I'm using a gold ink pad, which, although it is fairly reflective, it looks quite dull in the videos. It's shinier in real life, but I did decide that I preferred the luster from the gel pen. So once it's cut out, and I'm just going to cut it out a little bit neater, and I'm working out where I want the header. So we cut that out. I'm going to just take that gel pen and go over the lettering just to bring it out a little bit more. And I'm making another little one of those little boxes, just so that the title stands out, because I wanted the title to pop up as well. And I'm pretty freeform with how I'm folding this. You can tell I've kind of got used to it a little bit, so I'm just folding it on each of the dots and the dot grid, again using one of those cut-offs from the Dutch doors or the waterfall tabs, and just using my nail to burnish, get a nice crisp fold. Make sure I've folded enough times. You want to fold it so that you have 5 planes, 5 sides, and then you can stick the last 2 together. So I'm trim that off. Make our little box. This one here really is small and fiddly. Place it where we want it. Have a little think. Yep, that looks good. And then out comes the glue, and we glue it together and glue it in place, and deciding whether I wanted it into the center or to the right. And I figured to the right because we've got so much going on at the left. We'll have a little bit, put a little bit more on the right hand side to kind of balance the spread out a little bit. So we'll glue that title into place. And yeah, I think this is where I decided I wanted it to be a bit shinier. So I take the pen and start just going over the stamp. Hopefully you can see the font's really pretty on this stamp. It's a serif font with floral elements weaving through. Quite apt for July, I thought. So once I've gone over all the lettering and the glue on that little pop-up support is tacky, I'll glue that down, and then all that will be left to do will be to put our numbers in the boxes for the calendar. So I'm pretty pleased with how this turned out. I will admit, when I started I didn't have a clue how it was going to look. I had a few reference videos on YouTube, but they were very, very different to this kind of subject matter. There were more flowers and butterflies. So overall, I am really pleased with it. It's turned out much busier than I anticipated, but it's kind of cool. I do like it, and I did really enjoy working on it, even if it did take quite a long time. I have a chronic illness, which means I can't sit and work and journal for a long period of time. So actually getting this done was a bit of a mission, but I'm really pleased I did it. So there we go, we place the title down. Again, using those stumpy tweezers. They were so useful in this setup. So it's really cute the way it stands out. I do like it. So I think we're gonna do the numbering now. Yep, here we go. Bring that same pen back, that Wisteria Colours of Kindness Crayola, and we start with our numbering. I'm just numbering in the bottom of the boxes. And just working my way through and around the pop-up elements. Please excuse the top of my head coming slightly into frame, because I kind of had to get on top to see underneath the elements to get the writing, the numbers on. So that's our pop-up calendar and cover spread complete. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and take a look at video 2 for the next part. Thanks for watching. Bye.